What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Cutlass Board Games channel. I have been working hard on the Masters Challenge format, something that you might have seen me posting a few videos about previously on this channel, where the goal is to create a Pokemon TCG format that functions as an analog to Magic the Gathering's Commander. The goal is to have your Commander, which will be your main Pokemon, and that determines the identity of your deck, and you're playing a 100 card singleton deck. Now, the way that the Commander works normally is the different colors of the Commander determines what colors of the cards you can have in your deck. That is the same here, except in the expanded format, or the same format that GLC uses, there is no two color on one card Pokemon. To circumvent this problem, you get to choose two different cards, which is the same as the partner mechanic in Magic the Gathering, to be your partner Pokemon or your Commander. And it has to be the same Pokemon, but two different printings of that card. So I'll give you a little bit of a sample here. This is the full list of possible two-color partner Pokemon. So in the top left, you can see a metal type and a dark type Pawniard. I know it's very small, but that would mean that you can have metal type Pokemon and dark type Pokemon in your deck. And then you'll be selecting one of those Pawniard to start in the active, and the other one would be shuffled into your deck. So that gives you a lot of flexibility when it comes to brewing potentially a two-card deck. Now, there is unfortunately no three or more color decks possibly viable. We have, if you have a look over here, there is a Volcanion that is both fire and water. But that is the only one I checked. It is the only one legal in the format because your partner Pokemon must be basic. There isn't very many basic multicolored Pokemon, and a lot of them are in older formats. And in a lot of the crazy off-color ones in older formats like Holland Phantoms and stuff like that. So this is the current full list of possible two-color combinations when it comes to picking a partner Pokemon, which is going to determine what kind of colors you can play. Now, I crunched the numbers. There's 55 possible two-color types, and this list accounts for 52 of them. So there's only 3 possible two-color combinations that you can't play. I have no idea what they are. I haven't gone and checked. It's a bit hard. I know what there is. I don't know what there isn't. And this will give you, hopefully, some kind of a start to pick and figure out what you want to play. But let's first get into how the Masters Challenge format works. Now, I've written up a little bit of a primer on this document. And this document and the next one that I'm going to show you is going to be in the description, so you can go and check it out for yourself. So you can get together, maybe start building something. But the Masters Challenge format, like I said, is trying to be a 100 card singleton casual multiplayer format. Now, this is where we get into how that's going to work. First thing is constructing a deck. You'll be choosing your partner Pokemon, which determines your colors. Now, like I said, you'll be picking 2 different card printings of the same named Pokemon. Like here, I've selected Grimer because a lot of poison type Pokemon don't really have a home, and they show up in dark and they show up in psychic a lot. There is a lot of Pokemon that come under this kind of scenario. Now, this is a really obvious and easy one to solve, but there is other more complicated ones. For example, Gengar and Mimikyu, Gengar V. Both basic. Gengar is named in both of them. Tag team ones are kind of a special exception. And I feel like it's more fun to say yes than to say no. And allow having the tag team Pokemon count as any of the listed Pokemon. It gives you some more options. And then the Gengar V, which is a dark type and basic, giving you the ability to play Gengar as either color and as your partner Pokemon, which is very cool. Now, similar to Grimer, a Alolan Grimer is not good enough. Having a dark type Alolan Grimer and a psychic type Grimer, as far as Pokemon TCG is concerned, they are different Pokemon because Alolan Grimer cannot evolve into regular Muck, and Alolan Muck cannot be evolved from regular Grimer, so it must be different. However, titles like Shining and Radiant are also different. So like that's an example where you could get a Radiant Greninja. However, you've got stuff like V, EX, and capital EX. which will have a lot more like a stage 2 usual types of Pokemon as a basic that will give you some options to help create out what color combos you want. I do like this example. This is what I played as my first deck. It was pretty straightforward. But there's a lot of other tag team Pokemon that give you some cool options. For example, ADP, Arceus Dialga Palkia, which is kind of a powerhouse, and Arceus V gives you a really cool dragon type and normal type deck, and you can pick which one of those two you want to start in the active. Very scary. And we're going to go through the full list in a minute, because not only do I have it in the picture, I also have it in a document, so you can actually scroll and search it a little bit better. Now, the other thing is that the legality printing is black and white release onwards, which is the same as GLC, same as expanded. So there's going to be nothing too insane in there. But let's talk about playing multiplayer Pokemon TCG. This is something I've been thinking about for a little while on how we're going to try and make this work for this format. And this is my current ideas. So the reason why this is a Google Doc is it is subject to change. If we get good suggestions, or if we try and we want to try other different things, or stuff works out really good, here is where it's going to be immortalized, and this will be like a living rules document for people to refer to when they're playing the game. So first thing, this is intended to be a multiplayer format, a casual analog to Commander. With 4 players playing, be the first to collect their 6th prize card. Same kind of win conditions. In Magic Commander, you can have players eliminated far before the end point of the actual game for like an actual winner. With this, is the first person to hit the 6th prize wins the pod, which I think is a bit more elegant in a way. It'll always just be one winner instead of an early loser and a late loser, which I think is good. And then here are some rule changes to facilitate multiplayer and how Master Challenge format is going to be different from regular Pokemon TCG play. The first thing, which I denoted earlier in the earlier video where I kind of introduced the game, is the mulligan. Now, because your partner Pokemon will be starting in the active, you don't need to do a regular Pokemon TCG mulligan where you're looking for a basic. You will always have a basic in play. So what we're doing is a partial Paris mulligan, which is like the original Commander mulligan, where you'll get your 7 cards, you'll pick which ones you don't like and you get rid of, and then you draw to replace them, and then you will shuffle those cards that you didn't like back into the deck. Basically what I've got written here in a little bit more complicated words. So it's really easy. You're like, okay, which one of these cards are good setup cards? I'll keep them, I'll bin the rest, and then I'll draw back up to 7. To help you have a consistent setup, because it's 100 cards, it's going to be difficult, and the goal is to avoid bricking. Regular Pokemon TCG with 60 cards, or I'm playing 4 ofs, and I'm playing a lot of setup cards, I'll still brick. The goal is to try and avoid that as much as possible in this format, so it is fun to play, and you don't have to be insanely serious and min-maxing to be able to just enjoy playing the format. So we're trying to be really generous when it comes to this kind of thing. Next, now, normally in a 2-player game, the player that goes first can't play a supporter and can't attack, but will be first to be able to evolve between the 2 players. The second player can attack and play a supporter. This is kind of like a balancing action between going first and second, and being able to choose which is going to kind of determine what the tempo is that you're looking for. Now, in a multiplayer format, if there's 4 people, I'm going first, I can't play a supporter, I can't attack, then there's 3 other people after me that can play a supporter and can attack, which is going to be really brutal, and it means that the person going first actually at a huge disadvantage. So instead, what we're going to be doing is, the first thing, the player going first may play a supporter on their first turn. Then, any attacks done on each, the person going first can also attack on their first turn, but any attacks on each player's first turn have all damage and all effects prevented when interacting with the opponent. So for example, I have this trusty little Slowpoke here. You can see it has 2 attacks. The first one is tail fishing, where you flip a coin, and if heads, you search your deck for a card and put it into your hand. It's fantastic. This is an amazing attack for setting up on the first turn. Now, if I'm going first, I can use that. It will help me set up. That's fine. The second attack, Zen Headbutt, which does damage, will do nothing because all the damage is prevented and all the effects are going to be prevented if I'm interacting with an opponent. So that, I think, is a good example to look at the kind of thing that we're looking forward to encourage, so that you're not adversely affecting your opponents before they have an opportunity to have a turn, before they have an opportunity to set up. You'll still need your Pokemon in play for a whole turn to evolve, including the partner Pokemon. And then any effects of a supporter that would impact an opponent on this first turn would not. So each of the 4 players is going to have a first turn where they can attack, where they can play a supporter, but everything is prevented. Everyone gets this nice safety setup turn where no one's going to attack you and kill all of your things and you'll lose a game. Because if you set up, imagine you're player 4, there's still 2, and like a base Pokemon TCG rules. Your player 4, you have your 1 active Pokemon. There's 2 people that could attack and eliminate you from the game, because I guess you just lose if you have nothing in play, which is not really supposed to happen that often. You're kind of stuck, right? So giving everybody an opportunity to set up, to build something, to be able to get a couple of things in play before we can start attacking, before we can start adversely impacting each other, I think is the best and most casual, fun-oriented way to be able to do this. So that's what I have so far. If this turns out to be not fun, or people want a more competitive multiplayer experience, we can adjust this and we can do offshoots, we can do different options and stuff like that. But I think this is the best. Obviously, the Masters Challenge format works great in a 1v1 just fine using the regular Pokemon TCG rules. If you want to do multiplayer, we're doing a pot of 4 or 3, and I think this will work fine. Now, the other thing that I wanted to go through, because I spent a lot of time working on this, is the complete list of dual type partner Pokemon. Before, I had it as just an image that you could look at and kind of go, oh cool, here's an option. But that's just me finding any one particular printing that satisfies requirements. It is not me going and picking out the best possible option, and no one's going to possibly agree all the time as to what the best possible option is. So I've created this document. Now, the way to use this document is to either Control F for a particular Pokemon that you like if I knew I liked Chandelure, I could Control F and find out all the different type combinations that it shows up in, and then go, okay, what 2 colors do I want to play? Go and look at those printings. Or, what 2 colors do I want to play? Do I want to play Metal and Dark? And I go, oh, okay, this is my only option currently, is to play Pawniard. So you can, in that way, scroll through and find stuff. Some typings are way overrepresented. For example, Dark Psychic is gigantic because of, like I said, Poison interacts with the different typings. But it does give you some ideas as places to get started if you want to be playing a 2-color deck. Playing a monotype deck, you pick whichever Pokemon you want. The one that I really liked for monotype was Bonelby, because you get the I get to attack twice thing. And then you can pick out which of the 2 colors that you like. Now, I'm going to be including this document in the description as well, so you can go through it and use this as a resource to help you pick out a partner Pokemon that you'll be using to build a deck around, as well as the rules document as well, so you can refer to it later when getting started. So hopefully this is everything that you need to get excited and potentially start playing the Masters Challenge format, because I'm very excited about it as well, and hopefully I'll be hearing about some of you building decks and trying it out on your own, and tell me how it went. Was there stuff that you think was awful? Was there stuff that you wanted to try out? Because this is a work in progress. We can always be working on things. I want to make this something fun that we can kind of casually play before the big event happens. So I'm looking forward to hearing about the community feedback on this one. And if you appreciate some of this work that I've done, definitely check out some of the other stuff on the channel. I have a whole bunch of other cool things that I'm doing. I'm playing other board games. Sometimes I do Pokemon TCG deck techs. I randomly have been making music and uploading it lately, which I think is just fine. So maybe if you want to check out some of that stuff, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It means a lot. And then hopefully I'll be able to show off some cool gameplay with my Masters Challenge format deck that I've been cooking up. And hopefully I can show that off soon. So hopefully I'll see you then.